Welcome one and all to the 2025 HateWatchers Awards. And now, your host for the 4th annual HateWatchers Awards. The most ridiculous, the incomparable, the most farcical, saltier than a barnacle, Mr. HateWatcher. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our year-end recap of the worst shows and movies of 2025, known as the HateWatchers Awards. Better than your useless Spotify recap, and definitely better than those old YouTube rewinds, the HateWatchers Awards are our time to reflect on the year that was, on the big screen and the small. And 2025? This was one of the most glorious we've had when it comes to hate watching. And as such, tonight, we have 10 fantastic awards to hand out to unwilling, but certainly deserving recipients. As usual, the committee always gives more weight to movie and show entrants that were previously featured on the channel or that carved out a buzzworthy place in the public discourse, whether through popularity or simply the memes dunking on them. Without further ado, we ask now that you take your seats as the ceremony is about to begin. We start off our ceremony by making a splash with the award for the biggest flop. This honor is reserved for the show or movie that was the year's biggest dumpster fire, that figuratively and literally lit pallets of cash on fire before fizzling out at the box office or sliding off the streaming charts. Our first nominee, The Electric State, had a $320 million budget and, somehow, was Netflix's most expensive original movie ever, despite looking and feeling like a straight-to-DVD movie. The only thing faster than The Electric State's electric slide into irrelevancy was the speed with which this movie became a laughingstock. Our next nominee, Snow White, left no one singing its praises as it limped toward the end of its box office run, more than $60 million short of its production budget. All told, the film ended up losing Disney more than $100 million. But what is much harder to put a price tag on is the undeniable brand damage Disney suffered from Snow Shite. Disney wasn't done this year, however, as Elio snags the third nomination. This spacefaring, intergalactic adventure gave us the worst opening box office for a Pixar movie ever, and the only thing over the moon with this movie was its budget, which ballooned to at least $150 million, and with the movie only clearing that at the box office by $4 million. And now, the winner of the 2025 HateWatchers Award for Biggest Flop is Snow White. A $100 million loss is a drop in the bucket for Disney, but the damage done to one of their once unassailable princesses is immeasurable. On the other side of the coin, we have a new award to hand out this year, the Most Profitable Trash Award. This award goes to the film that still managed to rake in the cash at the box office despite it being undeserving trash. A Minecraft movie grabs the first nomination. Minecraft featured the barest of bare-bones plots, with the rest of the story, if you can call it that, simply filled out with unending shameless game references and memes. All of which made this movie feel like little more than a feature-length commercial for the game. But we all knew that any attempt at a Minecraft movie would shit out $1 billion in its sleep, and it about did just that. Next up, Avatar: Fire and Ass has pulled in more than $450 million in less than a week, the vast majority of which was earned overseas. Despite it being the lowest rated Avatar film thus far, and it being the worst movie of the series, Avatar continues to dazzle viewers, distracting them with spectacle long enough so they don't see the turd underneath all the CGI. Last up, there were plenty of cheeks to go around this year, as Jurassic World Rebirth, put the ass in Jurassic. Yet, somehow, this movie managed to place 5th at the worldwide box office in 2025. Pulling in $850 million and ensuring that the creators will learn absolutely nothing as they get to work on the next one. And with that, it's time to honor the biggest winner amongst these giant losers. And the winner is a Minecraft movie. Minecraft and Jurassic World were about equally bad films in their own ways, and the extra $100 million at the box office gave Minecraft the edge. Next, we're expanding on an award from years past, growing the Lamest Character Award to the Lamest Characters Award, broadening our focus from one hate-worthy character to include an entire ensemble of losers. A Minecraft movie, fresh off its first win, earns another nomination for its cast. Jack Black just played Jack Black, which isn't bad on its own. But the rest of the cast was filled out with a boy genius archetype character whose only distinguishing characteristic was that he was on the spectrum, two women who had fuck all to do in this movie and even less personality, and Jason Momoa, who seemingly took this role while he was mid-transition. Next, The Rats more than earns a nomination here. The troupe of trash that makes up The Rats featured a slutty elf, a coke addict, a guy named Kaylee, a black woman with a funky hairdo and a mustache, a token white guy, and it was all rounded out by a fat guy named Ass. Each one was more dislikable than the last, and seeing them get slaughtered in The Witcher Season 4 was many viewers' favorite scene of the year. And finally, Ironheart claims the last nomination. Headlined by Riri,
Bad girl genius.
The rest of the cast somehow turned out just as bad, and not in the way Riri uses it. Her dead best friend was resurrected in the form of an AI companion that the show essentially treats as her living friend, rather than just the jumble of predictive coding that it is. And the gang of thieves Riri joins, led by the Hood, as in Robin da Hood, was an exceptionally freakish group of losers. This entire show was basically just criminals and freaks. And the winner of the Lamest Characters Award is... The Rats. Even the menagerie of deadbeats, losers, and freaks in the other nominees couldn't hold a shit-scented candle to the cast of The Rats. This next award goes to the show or movie that's most divorced from reality. It's another new one known as the Most Delusional Award. Nominees for this award took one look at reality and said, nope, we're better off trying to make our own reality. Soaring back in to pick up the first nomination here is Ironheart. This Disney Plus show about hood genius Riri Williams capped off Marvel's disastrous Phase 5. Despite cousin Riri being the preeminent genius of our time, who would surely be better and more altruistic than Tony Stark if she only had his billions, this super genius can't come up with a single way to make money other than turning to crime. The show glorified and justified her actions, hand-waving away any sense of morality along the way until the end, where she literally made a deal with the devil. Did I mention she's supposed to be the good guy? I'm sure that wasn't clear. Next, we head to South Africa as G20 earns the second nomination in this category. Having a former war hero turned president wasn't enough for this Amazon original. They also had to have this 60-year-old woman training Krav Maga in her spare time before single-handedly liberating other world leaders from terrorists in a hotel in a Die Hard situation so absurd even Bruce Willis would roll his eyes. Lastly, The Rats grabs the final nomination. This insufferable film that stands as a prequel to the events of Season 4 of The Witcher tried to turn a hated group of characters from the books into a relatable, likable troupe of thieves. But perhaps the most delusional aspect of The Rats was that they required viewers to finish Season 4 of The Witcher to even unlock the movie on Netflix. Which is just cruel and unusual. And now, the most delusional show or movie of 2025 is... Ironheart. As if the premise of Ironheart wasn't bad enough, only people of the highest delusion would try and pass off Riri as any kind of hero. Our next award has been a longtime staple of the HateWatchers Awards, the Strongest and Independentest Award, honoring those that most show us that women can do anything that men can do, only better, and more efficient, and all while looking good too, even though they say women shouldn't be objectified. Speaking of objectification, All's Fair bends over for the first nomination. A show all about strong women in the workplace was only the beginning. Headlined by a woman famous for getting boned on camera, this legal drama tells the story of a woman-powered law firm that specializes in divorce cases, making them literal experts in separating men from half their shit. And you know a woman is strong when she can wear outfits like this to her big-time lawyer job. Next up, The Wheel of Time earns its first nod of the night. The Wheel of Time was always set in a woman's world, where they seek to wield all the power and where powerful men need to be brought to heel and made to kneel. And Season 3 of The Wheel of Time stayed true to their womanly selves all the way to the end with the show's premature cancellation. And finally, G20 gets the last nomination. The 60-year-old woman running the world in G20 also gets called on to save the world when terrorists attack. But it wasn't enough for this woman to break the glass ceiling and Jaws with her roundhouse kicks. The movie also had to have other strong women complimenting her and groveling at her feet.
I'm not as tall and as confident as you.
And so, the Strongest and Independentest Award goes to... G20. Nothing screams strong and independent, louder and higher pitched than a post-menopausal sexagenarian kicking terrorist ass and single-handedly saving the world. We have another new award this year reserved for the biggest waste of time. As if blowing their lofty budgets on bad shows and movies wasn't enough, these nominees also wasted viewers' valuable time in the process. The first nomination goes to Alien Earth. This ambitious show set out to craft a new tale in the Alien universe. The show used its more than 7-hour total runtime to set up all these threads and subtle hints that alluded to larger plots at foot, which left viewers spinning up a multitude of theories about the show. And in the end, none of those theories came true and none of the threads were tied together, making every minute of those 7 hours feel like it was all for naught. Another way to waste 7 hours of your life would have been to watch Season 4 of The Witcher, which gets the second nomination. And what a waste of time it was. The entire season was solely about every single character looking to get their hands on Ciri. And for some disgusting reasons for one of the characters.
My heir will be born of elder blood of my daughter's womb.
The big final achievement of the story was the crew making it from one side of a river to the other, and Geralt of Rivia being named Geralt of Rivia. I feel like if you just skipped this season and went from Season 3 straight to Season 5, the only question you'd ask is, what the hell happened to Geralt's face? Lastly, Snow White gets another nomination. As far as screen time goes, Snow White didn't waste nearly as much of our time as the other nominees did. But we'd be remiss to not recognize the years spent talking about this movie before it released. From even before the first trailer came out, it was clear this live-action modern remake would be an absolute dumpster fire, and the star of the movie herself did nothing but piss lighter fluid onto that dumpster fire. Everyone knew it was coming, and it was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. And when the turd finally dropped, it only confirmed what people had been saying about it that whole time. But now, without wasting any more of your time, the winner of the biggest waste of time award is Snow White. The years and years spent talking about this movie and the trash talk from the movie star was simply unlike anything I've ever seen. And while The Witcher Season 4 was certainly a complete waste of 7 hours, let's be honest, almost no one was still seriously watching that show. Next up, we have a fan favorite, the Crappiest Dialogue Award. This one goes to the show or movie with writers for whom English seems like a third language, and for whom normal human parlance is a struggle. Pulling in the first nod is Ironheart.
Hey, black people.
Riri's iconic ebonics belied her character's unrivaled genius.
Don't laugh at me!
Earning the second nomination is Season 2 of The Last of Us. Who would have thought that adapting an already cinematic game would be such a struggle? Bella Ramsey is the unfortunate face of this series, and she alone says enough dumb shit to get the show nominated.
That was just me. I was trying to sound like a badass.
Ooh, you rocking a yeast infection?
Last up, War of the Worlds snags the third spot. With the vast majority of this movie being comprised of Ice Cube yelling at a computer screen, you can be sure we were going to hear some stupid-ass shit.
These things eat data.
Exactly.
Fuck!
And now, without further ado, the winner of the Crappiest Dialogue Award is The Last of Us.
I'm gonna be a dad.
Need I say more? The most on-message award goes to the show or movie that goes the furthest out of its way to tackle the socio-political causes du jour, using their platform to pander and preach rather than to entertain. The first nomination goes to South Park. After inking a $1.5 billion deal, Matt Stone and Trey Parker came out swinging with an agenda, taking aim at Trump, everyone in Trump's orbit, and just about nothing else. Long gone are the days where South Park dared to go after both sides. And this new age South Park showed so much footage of Trump's small dick this past year that you could splice together all the clips of it and make a feature-length episode of just that. Their myopic, zealous obsession with the Orange Man, along with the timing of their big payday, makes it feel like South Park sold out. One battle after another gets the second nod for the most on-message award. This Antifa wet dream romanticized literal terrorists as they fought against a fascistic military force, on the hunt for anyone whose skin color is even one shade darker than Macaulay Culkin's. Gee, where have I heard those buzzwords before? And who could forget their portrayal of the US being run by evil white supremacists looking to enact racial purification at every turn? The last nomination goes to G20. This movie was centered on a black woman president kicking the ass of white terrorists who, oh my god, are creating deep fakes of politicians. The horror. G20 even took place at the G20 summit in South Africa, something that actually happened this year. My oh my, how the creators of this movie must have been cheering for Kamala to win. Then G20 would have just about nailed the current state of things, at least how they see it through their eyes. And the winner of the Most On-Message award is South Park. The incredibly fast turnaround of South Park's episodes allowed them to literally tackle the social issues of the day. And South Park may have sold out, but they got a HateWatchers Award out of it, which I'm sure will look nice on top of their giant pile of money. Next, we have another returning honor from previous HateWatchers Awards, the Most Disrespectful to the Lore Award. This award goes to the adaptation that strayed so far from the source material that you wonder why they even adapted it at all. Getting the first nomination is The Wheel of Time. This show has been straying from the books since the beginning, and Season 3 was no different. We've seen characters die that are very much alive at this point in the books, entire subplots from the source material replaced with other entirely contrived subplots made for the show, and Rand is more often than not relegated to the background while third-tier characters get their time in the spotlight. And 3 seasons in, unless you've done your homework, you'd be hard-pressed to accurately articulate what the characters are even fighting against if all you've done is watch the show. The Dark One's absence from this show is palpable, and even mentions of him in passing are exceedingly rare. Next up, Jurassic World Rebirth gets a nod. This low-effort, generic Jurassic installment made almost no effort to even reference the prior Jurassic movies, much less utilize that which made them popular. Combine that with this movie's pervasive, out-of-place, goofy tone, and how the characters never really felt like they were ever in peril, everything about this movie was completely antithetical to everything its forebears stood for. And Season 4 of The Witcher grabs the final nomination. Season 4 pretty much ran the gamut on all the ways you can screw up the lore. But perhaps the worst thing Season 4 of The Witcher did when it comes to the lore was trying to pass off the rats as sympathetic, likable characters. Which is to say nothing of the atrocious manner with which this show whitewashed Ciri getting sexually assaulted, instead passing it off as a beautiful lesbian relationship that should be celebrated. And piled on top of all of that is a whole heaping of race swapping, sexual orientation flipping, and sassy gay characters that really make you feel like you're in medieval Poland. So, the winner of the Most Disrespectful to the Lore award is The Witcher. I don't know what got raped more this season, Ciri or the lore. And finally, we always save our last spot for our most prestigious award, the granddaddy of them all, the award for worst writing. Nothing cripples a show or movie like a bad script. And the scripts for this year's handy-capable nominees wouldn't have been good enough to wipe my ass. The Witcher Season 4 snags the first nomination here. Running the lore of the books through the wood chipper, reducing every single character's journey to just looking for Ciri, and producing boring stretches of story that lasted 4 episodes at a time wasn't enough for The Witcher. They still felt the need to work in a Snow White-style musical segment and an anime portion halfway through the season, just to rub it in people's faces how little they care about this shit at this point. The Witcher's writers are truly blessed to have their jobs, because without them, they wouldn't be able to find employment anywhere else. Except maybe Amazon. Amazon's shameless adaptation of War of the Worlds gets the next nod. Amazon couldn't stop at just having the Amazon Studios name tied to this movie. They also had to use the corpse of one of the most infamous stories of all time to shamelessly showcase their products and services. But perhaps worse than that was this movie's concept, showing us an alien invasion through a computer screen. Because nothing screams excitement more than watching Ice Cube live reacting to the apocalypse. And keep in mind that this is a movie that had a script with the line "minimizes window" in it. Somewhere, H.G. Wells is spinning in his grave so hard they could tap into him for an unlimited energy source. And getting the final nomination is Jurassic World Rebirth. What makes Jurassic World Rebirth's success at the box office so disheartening is what a poorly written movie it is. It's an ultra-lazy, low-effort, generic reboot of the highest order, and it features the lowest-stakes story of any Jurassic movie to date. The goal of the expedition in this movie was to retrieve samples to help fight heart disease. So titillating. Jurassic World Reboot managed to walk a very fine line between doing nothing original and yet not leaning into the original movies. And the whole film was plagued by this out-of-place, goofy tone that completely undercuts the sense of peril that was once standard in a Jurassic movie. And now, taking home our biggest honor of the night, the winner of the 2025 HateWatchers Award for Worst Writing is... War of the Worlds! Amazon Studios' War of the Worlds adaptation, sponsored by Amazon Prime and brought to you by Amazon, was not just the worst movie of the year, but one of the worst movies of all time. And there you have it. Now let's recap some of tonight's winners and losers. But remember, every show or movie here is ultimately a loser. The Wheel of Time was snubbed at this year's ceremony to cap off an already tough year after being canceled prematurely. Both The Wheel of Time and Jurassic World failed to take home any hardware on their 3 nominations. And unlike the Oscars, one battle after another won't take home any awards from this show. Though it's more than deserving, it just faced stiff competition this year. Season 4 of The Witcher took home 1 award on 3 nominations, and Snow White was the biggest loser on the night, winning 2 awards for biggest flop and the biggest waste of time. But War of the Worlds took home the biggest prize of the night with the Worst Writing Award. And no amount of awards can really do that movie justice for how shitty it was. And just before we close out the night, I just want to thank all of you out there that tuned in to Hate Watchers over this past year and the years prior. I'm grateful for the time you've spent watching my videos, commenting on them, and just generally making having a laugh at Hollywood's growing ineptitude a truly fun time. Here's to hoping that 2026 can produce even half as much hate-watching material as 2025 did. But that'll do it for me. What about you? Did you think this year's winners were all deserving? Do you think there were any notable snubs this year? Any suggestions you have for the selection committee for award ideas you have for next year's show? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to Hate Watchers for more to come in the new year. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, I hope you had a good year, and I'll catch you in the next one.